Self-control isn't willpower. Do this instead. Most people think that self-control means resisting bad habits through pure willpower. Forcing yourself to never eat junk food and eat salads all day, exercising every day, or forcing yourself to not scroll. The truth is, self-control isn't about forcing yourself, but it's about one thing that is happening in your brain, and that's monitoring internal conflict. What the hell does that mean? Let me explain. So a group of researchers ran a study and they did an EEG, which measures like electrical impulses and activity in the brain. They found that people with higher levels of self-control had more activity in the anterior cingulate cortex. This part of the brain monitors internal conflict that is going on. Let's say you come home after a long day of work and you just want some food to satisfy your hunger. You have two choices. One is you can put in the effort to make healthy food, and secondly, you can just order Uber Eats and get Macca's. One part of you wants to stay healthy and the other one just wants some junk food. At this point, there is a war going inside your head. We all know that feeling. And this is when the anterior cingulate cortex is at action. This is what it means by monitoring internal conflict. Some studies have found that war that is going inside of you or monitoring conflict is equal to self-control. When we think of self-control, we think it's a part about resisting or like doing the action, but that's actually a whole different game. As long as you pay attention to these feelings, to this war that is going on you, that counts as self-control. The moment you lose that war, the moment you lose self-control is when you take away that attention. When you say, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna forget about being healthy or forget about those emotions that are going inside of me. And then before you know it, you're doing the action of eating junk food. Self-control isn't winning every battle that goes on, but it's simply staying aware in that moment. So if you stay aware of your emotions for as long as you can, then you'll kind of naturally just choose the more healthy option. You'll choose the values you want to align with. So for example, one challenge that I've been having recently is flossing my teeth. For some reason, I just can't get into the habit of flossing my teeth. And some days I do it, some days I don't. It was 10 p.m. at night, I just wanted to sleep, I brushed my teeth, and I didn't want to floss my teeth. And because I have braces, it makes it so much harder. And this principle came into mind. I decided to just fix on the thoughts within me. One part of me wanted to be, like healthy and have good dental hygiene, and then the other part was just lazy. But the more I just kept focusing on those emotions, and as long as I didn't turn my attention away from those thoughts, eventually I just flossed my teeth, because I consistently find that the times that I didn't floss my teeth was when I decided to just forget about it. So you have the cheat code to staying in self-control, but you must also be aware that there are two common things that are significantly depleting your self-control. One is suppressing your emotions. Why is this? Well, let's say you're suppressing your emotions. You're really angry at your friend because they didn't reply to your text all week, and you're really pissed. If you're being the nice friend and you just decide to stay quiet about it and you don't communicate your emotions of anger and disappointment towards them, you're suppressing it. And when you don't communicate about it in a healthy way, you're literally shutting off the part of your brain that monitors internal conflict, the part that is responsible for self-control. And if you're going to shut down the part of your brain that's responsible for self-control, it's going to be really tough when you're placed with a salad and then a Macca's Big Mac in front of you. You'll just be more likely to choose that Big Mac because you've suppressed your emotions and shut down that part of your brain. It's not necessarily because you're weak and you don't have self-control. So how can you fix that? Well, you can do things like journaling. You can communicate about your emotions to the person in an appropriate manner. This is why people who are very aware of their emotions, if you look at monks who are hyper aware of all the emotions, all the thoughts they're feeling, those people are really good at self-control. There's a correlation. Which is why I designed a Notion system, which has helped me get my life together. I have systems where I'm checking off my habits, I'm logging my activity that I do hour by hour, and life feels like a game with this. I'm so motivated to do everything I want to do, and I've also gotten closer towards my goals. There's a free template that you can check out in the link in the description, as well as a premium template. The second thing is stress. When you're stressed, on the other hand, let's say about an exam that's coming up or a job interview, your brain tends to focus on the external events. It just hyper focuses on whatever that problem is. So if you have a job interview coming up and you're super stressed about it, your brain will just literally catastrophize the job interview. You'll be like, what if this goes wrong? What if I don't get all the answers right? What if I look silly? And all of that focus becomes on the problem. And as a result, you actually lose this monitoring your internal conflict ability because you stop paying attention to your real self, to your real thoughts. You stop checking in on yourself. You stop asking yourself, are you okay? And you just focus on the problem. Everything becomes about that problem or that situation. And so when you don't focus and check in on yourself and your emotional state, then that means you shut off the anterior cingulate cortex, which is meant to monitor that internal conflict. And as a result, you might find it's harder to resist bad habits and difficult to do the good ones. And to fix stress, the best research out there suggests meditation, do breath work, journaling can help, talking about it helps, all those strategies. I'm not going to repeat myself, but yeah. And again, when you look at the monks, they are literally meditating all day. They'll sit there for hours meditating and they are hyper aware of their thoughts. As a result, they have very, very little stress. And therefore, that correlates to their higher self-control. So next time you're tempted to do something that doesn't align with your values, just focus on staying in the battle. Just focus on staying aware of how you're feeling, and eventually you will just naturally direct yourself to doing the action that aligns with your values. Well, that's all for me today. Subscribe and like for good luck. And if you want more content like this, take care and bye. Oh my gosh. The sky is no longer purple. It actually looked really cool.